Hello, and welcome to another edition of Tools for Success. I'm your host, Mo, and as always, we talk to service providers and vendors who provide services to real estate agents to help them grow their business. Today, we have offers.com, and they are going to be showing us background information into the product and services that they provide for real estate agents. And we have Rob and Tom from the executive team over at offers.com. How you guys doing today?
Hey, Michael. How you doing? Thanks for having us on the Mo Show. My name's Rob Alfieri. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the East Coast of the U.S.
And Michael, this is Tom Morrissey, VP of Sales for the West Coast. We appreciate your time and having us on today.
Yeah,
no problem.
So thanks for having us on. And if you like, I can just jump right into the presentation.
Absolutely. Did you
Cool.
should have received a message to take control?
Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay.
It's coming up. Let's see here. Jump right into it, Rob and Tom.
Okay. Well, offers.com. We're based out of Sarasota, Florida. We've been here about 3 years. And our primary focus when we first got started was we were a big data company at the time, and our goal was to be able to provide real estate agents with lists that would drastically reduce the time and money it would take for them to be successful in marketing in their areas. And how we did that was we probably have about 500 points of data on every single home and homeowner in the United States. And we had 3 PhD mathematicians on staff. And we ended up writing a predictive algorithm, the same type of algorithm that's used in Las Vegas to determine the scores in football and in baseball games and the spreads, and same type of algorithm that Wall Street uses to determine which direction that funds are going to go. And there's an example that I always love to use, and it's on the movie Moneyball. And are you familiar with that movie, Michael? Is that
I am. That was a surprisingly good movie. So go ahead with your explanation.
So it's one of my favorites too. But that was the first time that professional sports had actually leveraged mathematics and statistics. And for those of you who haven't seen the movie, it stars Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. And it's a story. It's actually a true story about the Oakland A's. And the Oakland A's, they're struggling. They have the smallest payroll in all of Major League Baseball. And they ended up hiring a mathematician. And the mathematician brought a new look, a new set of eyes in the game, and said, listen, if you're hiring people for positions, you should be doing so on their statistical effectiveness, So don't hire the big names and the big contracts, but hire that person that maybe statistically should be batting first, or should be, is the best person to bat seventh, or the best person to play first base, or the best relief pitcher. So for the first time, professional sports started to use predictive analytics to be able to hire staff and put a team together. And why I like to use this as an example for the real estate profession is because at that time, the Oakland A's had the smallest payroll in all of baseball, but yet they were able to compete against the people that would outspend them 20-1, like the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees. And leveraging predictive analytics, your average agent now can compete with people that are outspending them 10-1. Because I'll give you an example here. At the end of the day, what we do is we break our territories into census tracts, and a census tract is on average about 2,000 homes. And we're able to basically deduce that number of 2,000 homes by 300 or 400, but yet 70 to 80% of the sales that occur in the next year will all be within that number of 300 to 400 homes. So think about that for a minute. So you have rather than, you're in Alpharettoville or in Dunwoody or wherever in downtown Atlanta, and you normally farm an area that's got 2,000 or 3,000 homes. So in order, historically, you want to try to hit everybody. And what we do is we leverage predictive analytics, and we actually create a list and give that to our agents and have them focus on maybe 20% of that list. So now, to reach all the people, the majority of the people that are going to be selling their home in the future, they only have to reach out and contact and market in front of a small portion of that. And the first question that people ask is the screen you're looking at now. Okay, well, how do you guys do that? Right? It's witchcraft. And,
exactly.
And as I was saying before, it's big data. And you're hearing that buzzword everywhere. What does that mean? And all that means is that, we buy data. We get every bit of information, on home data, past sales data, consumer data. We've got, I think, about over 500 points on even you, Michael. We've got about 500 points of data on you and your home.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we have everything, and you're looking at the screen, and those are just kind of a couple of examples. But we know how many children they have, the ages of the children. Is a child going to be turning college age soon?
Wow.
But yet they only own, they have a 4-bedroom, and one of the kids is going away to school. We know credit report. We know when there's a bankruptcy. We know when there's a divorce. We know how many cars they have, whether it's leasing, buying. So when you have all this information, the algorithm is able, when a sale happens, it's able to identify what constituted that sale. And then when another one happens, it's able to develop trends on what constitutes a sale in a particular area. And from that point forward, we're able to, the best predictor of the future is what's happened in the past, and that's what we're able to do.
I'm going to ask this question, but I don't want to hear the answer. I may not make it through the night, but it seems like you guys buy this data from some data godfather who's, sitting down some dark alley, and only a few folks have access to it. So it's really scary that I know all this data is out there, but it's really scary, but also cool how you can put all this data together to really gain a competitive edge. And, the example that you talked about with the baseball team in the Oakland A's, that was really a real life example of David versus Goliath, and a real estate agent who could use your service could really take that on from their business standpoint. And we'll talk about that a little later, but you don't have to try to take over an entire, city or area. You could just target a couple hundred homes with this kind of data. So that's powerful.
Right. Well, that's what this is, that's what we're designed for. And I'm going to show you a little area here. And what you're looking at now is actually a census tract. And that's how we break up our territories that we license. And when we license a territory, it's exclusive for one agent. And that's what we recommend. Sometimes we'll get agents that come in and they'll want to buy 3, 4, 5, a big territory. And, our first question is, okay, well, do you have the bandwidth to effectively market all those areas? So if one territory, if you gave me a census tract which has 2,000 homes, and I just had to market that by myself, that just 2,000 homes, that can be quite costly and quite time consuming. But if you run the algorithm on that area, at that point in time, if you give me a list of 2 to 400. Whether I'm a seasoned agent or even a beginning agent, that's viable. That's working. I can reach out to a couple hundred agents over the period of a month, or be able to afford to do direct mail to 200 or 300 agents rather than 2,000. So we're as you said before, we're kind of leveling the playing field for your average agent to be able to compete against the heavy hitters who are out spending them 10 to 1.
Wow. This brings a lot of different ideas into my head. One we talk about here with the scoring mechanism, and you can tell me if I ask you for a list of X number of homes, you can give me that entire list. If I want 1,000 names, you can give me 1,000 names, but they'll be broken out into scores so where I can focus on the top, 200 or 300 that may be primed to sell, but also I could possibly develop, some drip campaigns for those other 700. Maybe I don't mail to them every month. Maybe I only mail to them once a quarter, or possibly, twice a year, and that way you can start building a relationship with that other part of that list as well. So yeah, it's really,
Right.
really interesting.
Right, and that's actually what we do is, and that's how we reflect the results of the algorithm is we score every home between 1 and 100. 100 being the most likely to sell. So we may not recommend that you market to a home that scored 40 because statistically speaking it's a little bit lower. We asked our 3 PhDs who wrote our algorithm to tell us, well, what is a score that they should reach out to these people between a month to a year that are most likely to sell. And they developed a tipping point at a score of 70. Mm-hmm. So all these homes here, you see 85 and you see a lot of blue homes here on the screen. Those, statistically speaking, are primed to sell anytime in the next year. But what's unique about our system is that we score and provide you information on all 2,000 homes or 1,000 homes, all the homes in the area that you license, you will have contact information for. You'll have name, you'll have an address. If they have their landline available, that's not on the do not call list, we provide that. Email addresses, social media links. So that is, again, our philosophy is all about empowering the agent. So say if you, Michael, had an area that only had 1,000 homes and maybe your list was 150 that we've identified as high scoring, if you're ambitious, you could contact the top 300 or 400 if you want. But you're still contacting the top 300 or 400 that, statistically speaking, are most likely to sell.
You just spooked me out here a second ago, but I got a real good marketing strategy behind this thought. You kind of slid past it. You said social media profiles?
Yeah, so I'll get into that in a couple of minutes on what exactly that we provide to everybody. But that was kind of our goal. The first 2 years we were in business, Michael, we were only doing big data. You know what I mean? We had all this data. We would write our algorithm, and we would spit out these lists. And even 2 years ago, we were averaging 75% accuracy, meaning that when we gave a list to an agent of 200 or 300, 75% of the sales that would happen in that area would be on that list. And that was our average. But what we found was that the agents needed more than that. We found that the top performers who already had, marketing systems in place did very well. And they saved money and they worked smarter, right? Mm-hmm. But the average agent, and that's what this is designed for. This is designed for the average agent to be able to afford it and to use it. There wasn't a big difference because they didn't have the means or the expertise to market to those people that we identified at the top of the list. Mm. So, and what I'm showing you now, and we're gonna take a look at one of your territories there in Atlanta in about 4 or 5 minutes, Michael. But we are 100% transparent in how our algorithm has performed in each of the census tracts all across the country in the last year. So you get to see what you're buying and how our algorithm performed before you actually purchase a territory. Wow. We will tell you how many homes are in that territory. We will tell you how many homes we've identified as high scoring. And that's what you see to the left of the pie chart. There's about over 1,700 homes in this particular area. And what we're saying is, hey, don't worry about these 1,340 homes right now. Just focus all of your marketing efforts on these 379. And then we take it even a step further, and we say, okay, and of these 379 that we told you to focus on, last year there was about 118 sales in that area, 80 of which were on the list that we gave to our agents. Wow. So pretty powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
And this is, what I'm showing you now is, a typical agent with a typical ad campaign, 5% of the population is going to sell their home across the country anyway, right? We know that. We know that as a constant. So typical marketing, which is the graph to the left, means that you have to market to 100% of the population to reach that 5% that's actually going to sell.
Correct.
So we call that shotgun approach, right? Well, now, if you look to the right, that's what we call smart marketing with smart data, where right off the bat you only have to market to about 20% of the population. You may not hit all 5% of people that are going to sell. Maybe you only hit 3.5 or 4% of the people that are going to sell their home. But the dollar and the effort trade-off are so much in your favor when you're leveraging smart data. So
absolutely.
You can market to 20% of the population, but yet still hit 75 to 80% of the people that are going to be selling their homes.
Absolutely.
So like I said, 2 years ago, our algorithm was rocking, and we thought we were going to be millionaires, right? Because we had this Tom here was picking out colors on for a Ferrari.
Funny.
But in order to what's the old adage? If you want to live with the classes, you have to appeal to the masses.
This is true.
Right. So what we realized is in order for us to appeal to the masses, we were going to have to put together tools that the agents, because most agents don't have a lot of time.
This is true.
They're rushed, and a lot of them, they don't have background in technology or marketing or anything else. So they really needed a solution that was easy. You know what I mean? That was simple to do, was quick. They could set up a budget, set it, forget it, and have it work for them. So we realized we were going to have to put together kind of some real estate best practices on marketing and make it easy and kind of very user friendly for them to adopt. And that's what we did. And our philosophy, I'm seeing a trend lately in probably the last 4 or 5 months. I go to a lot of real estate events and trade shows and conferences, and a lot of the guys are really getting back to basics. They feel that a lot of the online marketing is getting very muddied,
Absolutely.
and kind of oversaturated.
Absolutely.
When people are just kind of flooding zip codes and flooding and spending thousands of dollars a month on keyword searching and not getting return on the investment. So we took a little bit of a different tack. We really heavily believe in personal outreach. So what we do, Michael, is we get about 50% of the emails from our big data sources, and we provide those emails on all the properties for our clients so they want to do an email campaign, or if they want to take a few moments and write them a personal email, they can. And we give them about 20% of the phone numbers, and we also give them usually about 20% of the social media as well. So, and this is really I was just at a conference yesterday, and the big buzzword that the moderator was using, he said he was trying to teach his agents, there was like 500 agents there, that they need to be a lead generator rather than a lead receiver. They need to be more proactive, and that's what our personal outreach program does. And I'll show you that in a little bit as well in the back end. How we have all the properties listed, the names, addresses, what we scored them. We even keep track of how often our agents touch them, how often they make contact with them as well, because that's very important. And so emails, phone numbers, social media, we have so many stories of agents that have received a list, and they'll think of a campaign. But by the way, we don't kind of leave you in the lurch when you sign up and you grab a territory. You get a representative that kind of walks you through the whole process, that kind of helps you with your strategy, helps you formulate campaigns, and then shows you around and how everything works as well. So we know that that's very important to our agents because the last thing they want to do is learn a whole new system when they purchase something that's designed to help them out, right?
Absolutely.
So the second thing in our marketing mix is our online advertising. We didn't want to do the same old that a lot of other companies were doing.
Mm-hmm.
We are the only company in the United States that does this form of online advertising. What we do is we take the high-scoring list of homes, say 300 homes. We give that to our Google Ad Network, and we get about a 50% match with their IP address.
Okay.
So think about this. We're able to take offline data and get an online connection with the top-scoring list. So once we have their IP addresses, we can send a banner ad, which we will design for the agent,
wow.
to any web-enabled device inside the home of the high-scoring home that's been identified by our algorithm.
Now that's scary.
Now here's the cool thing, and think about this. If you're spending money on search engine optimization and keywords and things like that, that's a thing of the past.
Absolutely.
Because now they don't have to be searching anything real estate oriented or about different agents or home buying services or anything like that. They can be online checking out, they can be shopping, seeing what the weather is going to be like tomorrow. They can be researching, reading the news on CNN or WashingtonPost.com, and our banners will show up on the side of the page.
Wow.
Now, the agents don't have to do this. This is a la carte. This is part of, advertising. And some of our agents choose to do it. Some of our agents don't. We have a large contingent of agents that really just work our lists. Some will download our lists and do direct mail because they get a really, really cheap price within their office. So we're all about keeping costs down. So a lot of our agents will do the online advertising because they believe in branding and they've got a set market per month for online advertising. And we find that this is the most efficient use of their dollar because there's no waste. They're not.
True.
There's an awesome company that does IP targeting, and they're called AdWorks, and they do IP targeting over a whole zip code.
Wow.
So they do a great job of it, and so you can buy 30 or 40,000 impressions over a zip code. But think about that for a second. If there's 20, 30,000 homes in a zip code, and you're buying 30, 40,000, impressions, you're probably only getting one, maybe two impressions per household, and still 95% of those impressions are wasted because those people aren't, thinking about selling their home.
Yeah, you threw your money out the window.
Yeah, so that's kind of the advantage that we have. The second thing we do is called cookie email matching. This is the great thing about this is the agent doesn't have to know what IP targeting, Google retargeting, or internet cookie email matching are. We do it all for them. But because we have about 50% of their emails, we give that to our Google Ad Network partners. Google knows your email address. Google knows where you've been in the last 6 months to a year online.
Wow.
So anytime you go back to those sites, our agent's banner ad will be on their page.
Wow, that's crazy.
So we do believe in online marketing on Google. We do believe in online marketing on Facebook because it works. What we are proponents of is doing away with shotgun marketing. You have to be super laser focused.
Absolutely.
And people think they're even laser focused when they do a zip code. And what our platform is showing them is that is still old technology. And the most effective use of a single dollar is in targeting a single home that has been identified to sell, because with a single dollar on the Google network, you get a minimum of 20 to 25 impressions per household. And you're not wasting it on those homes that aren't likely to sell. So that's kind of the beauty of it. Now, the other thing is a lot of our agents will take our high-scoring list, and we do this for them, and we give that to Facebook, and they can advertise directly to the high-scoring list on Facebook.
Wow.
So that's another way that they can leverage statistical analytics and reach just a very targeted and limited audience on Facebook as well.
So how are they doing that with Facebook? Are they simply using the email address or?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's exactly right. So
okay.
we have about a 50% match of the email addresses, and we give that list. Say you have 350 people, and we have about 175 of those email addresses. We give those 175 email addresses to Facebook, and they come back and they say, okay, well, we've got about, say 75 or 100 of those email addresses are linked to Facebook accounts, so we can hit those accounts.
There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Now what I'm showing you now is a sample example of a banner ad. We make 3 different size banner ads for our clients. We've got probably about 50 different designs that our clients can choose from as far as their different banner ads.
Mm-hmm.
We work with a lot of national brokerages, so we've got even some of those national brokerages have given us kind of approved templates that they would like their agents to use, that the agents can if they want. So again, our focus is all on branding the agent and branding the agent's brokerage. So this is just one example, a screenshot that we took from the Washington Post. Now, what we also do is to complete the circle, and this is mainly for online advertising,
mm-hmm.
you have to have a kind of a lead generation mechanism, right,
mm-hmm.
where you're actually
Landing
going
page.
out there and you're out there on their on their websites, wherever they're cruising around, and they're seeing you. But it's equally important to have a lead capture mechanism too when you're generating leads. So we found that a lot of our agents didn't have this. So we were seeing really super conversion levels and super click-through rates, but it wasn't leading to a balanced amount of calls and sales, right? And
mm-hmm.
that's, at the end of the day, Michael, that's what it's all about. It's all about, I'm paying for something. Am I getting a listing? Am I getting a sale? That's the bottom line. And these people were clicking through and going to agent sites and that weren't mobile ready, that had no lead capture mechanism, and that were speaking to buyers rather than sellers.
Mm.
So for this specific purpose and to complete the circle in our online advertising platform, we had to create an actual page, what we call a landing page for our clients. I'm going to click out of here. I'm going to show you an example of one so you can see it's not rinky-dink. Let me see if I can move this over here a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move this here. So we brand the agent.
Mm-hmm.
The agent has they can put up a high-def photo of one of their listings or their city. If they do have another website, we can point them there so they can immediately click on the website. Yeah, email, call. Here's their call to action. If they fill out this, the agent will get a lead, and also in the back end, they'll get kind of a notification that they have a lead come in. And again, this is just for the online part, but if you're going to offer something, the solution needs to be complete. So this is why we do it. And so, and again, this is mobile ready. I think the statistic now is that during the week, 60 to 70% of searches online are mobile, right?
Mobile devices, yeah.
Right. And then on the weekend, it's even higher. It's like 75 to 85%. So there's a lot of varying statistics, but people are using their mobile phones even more on the weekends than they are during the week.
I don't know. Do you guys have kids?
Tom's getting pressured to have kids pretty soon, but no.
Well, for me, I know why you do more searching online on the weekends than you do during the week, because on the weekends your kids have you running around. So when you're sitting at the playlands and stuff, you're on your phone checking up on stuff. So no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And then the cool thing is we had some good news yesterday. We just had our mobile app approved by iOS, by Apple, by the so
Cool.
you can actually download the offers.com mobile app and check this out. What it does is you can upload the smart list onto your phone that we have from Offers. So say you have an area in Atlanta that's got 1,000 homes. We've identified 150. There was high scoring. You can download that list on your phone, and every day you're gonna wake up in the morning, click on your app, and it's gonna say, Michael, good morning. Email this person, call this person, send this person a personal letter, reach out to this person on Twitter, like this person's post, blah 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 blah. The whole idea is that while you're sitting waiting at Starbucks, you can actually be reaching out and contacting people. And this is going to take your entire list and just roll through it. It's going to give you like anywhere from 10 to 15 tasks every day. And it's going to keep on you until you do those 10 or 15 tasks. And if you do nothing but follow what the app says, you will contact your complete high-scoring list at least 1 to 2 times per month, which is very important.
I love that. That is like having your marketing trainer in your pocket, where
Right.
they're telling you, get up off your butt, do this, do that. So you don't have to think about it. Literally, you don't have to think about it. You can sit there and sip your latte, all right, and just, scroll through and determine what you need to do next from a marketing standpoint. And I can tell you in the conversations with agents that I have, that is a huge need. A lot of them are like stallions. They're ready to go. They're fired up. They want to make a lot of money, but they want to make a difference. But they just don't know exactly what to do, when to do it. So you can set out an hour, a day or 2 a day, et cetera, and go through your list. And like you said, if you're hitting them a couple times a month, you'll get a sale. I mean, statistically speaking, you stay consistent with that, you will get a sale.
I mean, we all know this is a numbers game, and if you work it, and we understand that, and this was one of the things that the reason we did this application is our agent said, listen, this would really be great if I could take this list and not have to log in, have a simpler way to contact these people. And we said, we agree with you 100%. We spent a lot of money. It's a lengthy process to get your app approved, but we did it, and we did our first versions pretty solid. The other thing about this, Michael, is you can also upload your LinkedIn contacts, your Facebook contacts, and all the contacts from your phone as well to be part of the same program. So you can not only hit our list, all the unknowns, but you can also stay in touch with your current list of friends and contacts, your current sphere of influence, because as we know as well, 5% of those people are going to sell their home as well.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So keep going.
No, I was just going to say, so you're staying top of mind with your existing circles, right? And this is reminding you. And then you're farming because you're reaching out to people in your community that you don't know that, statistically speaking, are most likely to sell. So we saw this as a very easy tool that the agents can adopt and use, and it was missing because agents are busy, and we would have agents that would use our products for a while and cancel, and we would look and see what they did, and we're like, wow, you didn't reach out to these people, and then it's like, I just don't have the time. I need an easier way to do it, and that's why we put this together.
So the app comes as a part of the subscription to the service?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
that's also a good question. What I'll do is I'll go through here. This will be the last thing in the presentation that we'll look at, and then I want to get into some territories near where you are in Atlanta, Michael. So this is just an example of our back end, and here you see that it says we score all properties. If there's 1,800 properties in your area, we score all 800 or 1,800, and we give you all the information on all 1,800. So we give you a score, how many times you've touched them. If you want to click on phone numbers here, It'll list all the phone numbers in alphabetical order. If you want to click on email here, it'll give you all the email addresses in alphabetical order. And if you want to click on social media, it'll give you all the social media contacts. I'll give you an example of, we had one beginning agent, shared this story with us a couple of weeks ago. He bought a $100 a month territory. He went home and every night.
I'm sorry, repeat that again. He spent how much a month? I want our audience to hear that.
He purchased a $100 a month territory down in Venice, Florida. He did his prospecting an hour a night while he was watching TV having a beer. That was his prospecting hour. So what he did, and I'm showing you exactly what he looked at. He would click on their name, right? And then if you see here, it has a picture of their house. It would show a picture of their house. It would give them name, address, what they purchased the home for, their loan amount, where it was, how many kids they had, marital status, blah, blah, blah. And he would just spend 2 or 3 minutes on every home, and then he would put together, if he had their email address, he would send them a 3-line, no more than 3-line personal email saying, hey Scott, Carl, this is Rob Alfieri, and I'm here in the Venice area, and I live about 2-3 blocks down the house for you, and I'm a real estate agent. I have so many buyers right now looking for homes in our neighborhood that if you would ever consider selling your home, or you know somebody who would be, please contact me because I have something somebody very interested in their home. And that's all he did, 2 to 3 sentences, and he sent those out. And if he didn't have the email address, he wrote them a handwritten note because he's got their physical address. So he would just do 10 to 15 people a night. It would take him about an hour, and he did that for 2 weeks, and he got his first listing after 2 weeks. He got his second listing after 3, and after his first 5 weeks, he had a total of $1.5 million in listings.
And he lives on Mars, right? Because that couldn't happen on planet Earth.
No. And it's just now a lot of we laugh, but a lot of agents won't they won't write letters, or they won't make phone calls, or they won't send out personal emails. They want to be a lead receiver, right? Rather than a lead generator. And what we've found is, because I go to a lot of different offices, and I was like, listen, which one, who, show me the agents that are utilizing our program that are being successful. And every single time I sit down with them, it's one of 2 scenarios, okay? It's the agents that are taking their data, plugging it into their existing marketing systems, and doing a lot of direct mail and a lot of online advertising, like total saturation. They have a large enough budget where they can hit those 300 or 400 people consistently every month. Now the cool thing is they no longer have to hit 2,000 or 3,000. They can only hit 200 or 300, right? So those are the ones that are being successful. And then the other guys who aren't spending any money on direct mail or online advertising, but they're working harder. They're downloading our list and they're door knocking. They're downloading our list and they're taking 10 people a night and they're writing personal handwritten letters. They're taking our list and they're calling people and they're saying, hey, listen, I'm putting together a community event in 3 weeks. I'd love to have you come by. And this is Rob Alfieri from XYZ agency, and I'm doing this, meet your neighbor down the park, and I'd like to know if you and your family can attend.
Wow.
So it's these type of things. So they're either spending the money to be able to saturate and reach these people on a monthly basis, direct mail or online, or they're putting in more work. And the agents that are really killing it are the ones that are understanding both.
Yep.
That are
Absolutely.
both equally important and that are doing both.
Yep.
All right. So now I'm gonna kind of get out of here, and we're gonna find an area here where you are. All right.
So
I'm gonna punch in.
While you're punching that in, I got a couple of questions. This guy spent $100 a month, and I like to re-emphasize things so that when our audience hears it, it's kind of like a no-brainer. Spent $100 a month at home drinking beer, just contacting folks, either writing a letter or sending a personalized email. He, I mean, for $100 a month, you can't beat that. I mean, he was able to receive, he said, 3 listings in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was, too, though, he goes, well, truth be told, the first 2 weeks I actually sat and did nothing. So he goes, once I started doing something, it was 2 weeks. So that was
2
kind of
weeks.
funny. Technically, it was a little longer, but he said I didn't do anything, and I realized. And you know, his outlook on this was, I don't have money to do outbound marketing. I really don't. So this is an opportunity to hustle and put some sweat equity in. Granted, now he has reinvested in his business to grow it, and he is doing online with us. But that's how he got started and how he started to build his business. He had to hustle a little more.
Right. And that is how you start. That's what we train our audience with tools for success. You know, start small and you build, and then you generate more money to reinvest, to grow your business, to grow your team, and then next thing you know, a couple of years later, you're the super agent. Everybody's wondering how did you make it happen? And you start out with $100 a month in beer, and that's how you make it grow. So, show us what you got here.
Right. Okay. So what we're looking at now, Michael, this we punched in any of the agents out there. If they want to see what we're showing them, they can go on offers.com. We didn't forget the E or couldn't afford to buy offers with an E.com. Offers actually stands for Off Market Real Estate Services. And if they go to offers.com, they register as an agent. Right here on the right hand side, they can punch in a zip code. And it'll pull up exactly what we're looking at right now. So this is very simple. If I hold down, I can move it around. This is a Google map. And if I click, right now I'm clicking on this area here. These are all census tracts. In the red is outlining the 3008 zip code that I punched in. And any of the census tracts that are touching that zip code will appear on the screen. All right, so you get a snapshot. This territory is $163. It's got 2,200 properties. The top seller prospects of the blue list is 350. And in the last year, the algorithm has performed at 80% accuracy.
So in that list, for $163.79, I get 2,263 records?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And I'm gonna so Michael, say you're an agent and you're like, okay, well I like this area. You can zoom in to see where the streets intersect. Oh yeah, I like this area. I want to do around Hurt Road Park. If you want more information, you can click on View Territory Report, and we give you even more detailed information. So here, 2,263 properties, 350 that scored over 70 in our algorithm. 80% of the homes that have sold in the last year were on the list that we gave our agent. That we made available. Here is a pie chart version of the statistics right above it. Okay, here's a little bit more information so you can see. This is what I always like to point out. You can reach 80% of the people that are going to sell their home in the future by marketing to 15% of the population. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
And here we show you the average market value of the area, and we show you how many homes sold in that area the year before. Okay, this is just a heat map. Where you see the blue, that's where most of the homes we predicted in the future to sell are located. So if you wanted to advertise on a billboard or a bus stop or something in the areas, you could actually see where we think most of the homes are going to sell. And if you wanted to be a little bit proactive, and that's what this whole thing is being proactive.
Absolutely.
You could do that. Now watch this. We even take it a step further. We list the homes that have sold in the last 8 months, last 8-9 months, and how we scored them.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and here's one thing I want to scroll back down for me. Here's one thing that I like about this is you actually call yourself out. There are a couple on there that didn't score above the 75%. They didn't score above the tipping point. but
Yep.
obviously the majority of them did. And so nothing's 100% silver bullet, but this gets you to the next best closest thing.
Right. And you know what, a lot of times you can't quantify with data someone falling in love. You can't quantify
Absolutely.
in data somebody missing their grandkids and wanting to be close to them. You can't quantify with the data somebody being frustrated with their job and wanting to move. You know what I mean? So there are very human elements that still you can't quantify with data, but we can come pretty doggone close.
Absolutely. And so for 163, round up, $164 a month, you get access to this list. You can mail to this list. You can do whatever it is that you need to do with this list.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go back here. We're going to look at this. And so the cool thing is you can look around and you can click on different territories. If you happen to come across a territory that is marked in red, that means that another agent has already purchased it. But you can go on the waiting list, and there's no charge for that. And if for whatever reason that territory becomes available again, we'll give you a call and let you know that it's available. So let me click on this. I'm going to click on this one here. But you can shop. You can go territory to territory, and this one's even better. This one's $150. There's 1,200 homes in this area. There's 288 homes that have scored over 70, and our algorithm last year was 87%.
And so you clicked. Where did you click at again? You got even more granular.
Okay, so if I wanted to, let me go back here. So say I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime I click on the map, to the right, it's going to give me this basic snapshot.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, if I want more detailed information, I click on View Territory Report. And when I click on that, that will take me to this more granular area.
Okay.
Okay? And then the cool thing is, and I think what we're going to do, Michael, is we're actually going to give your listeners a code to put in that's going to give them a discount as well.
Super.
So, which is kind of cool. I think, do we already have that set up?
If someone wanted to purchase the territory, and they said, yes, this one looks great here, and they clicked on the left there, purchase territory, at the bottom there is enter promo code. And when you enter the promo code, which is MoShow, it will automatically readjust the price for their monthly territory fee for a discount for your listeners at 30%.
Well, isn't that special? See, we do things for our listeners here on Tools for Success. So we appreciate you guys with that offer. That's awesome.
Oh, we appreciate you letting us sit in here and chat about some of this. Actually, Michael, did we explain the variance with the pricing for the territories?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. So our territories vary between about $150 and $500. And we view every single territory kind of like its own business in a box, if you will. And what we do is we take a look at the number of homes that are selling over the past 12 months and how expensive those homes are. So how much turnover is happening there and how expensive are the homes. So that from the realtor standpoint, there is a even return on investment potential for different areas. So, if you're in Miami Beach, we have areas that, the average home value is $1.5 million. We're going to charge a little more for that than, say, in the outskirts of Atlanta, where an average home might be $200 or $300. So that's where our pricing comes from, because we're looking for the most fair way for pricing this out for the realtors for their business.
That makes absolute sense. So let's talk about the pricing and the structure just a little bit. For folks that do decide to take the next step and possibly get signed up, are they looking at a long-term contract? Tell our listeners just a little bit about that.
So what we did for your listeners, Michael, is when you punch in the MOSHOW code, so the MoShow code, we do one of two things. We give them a discount. I think, is it 15% we're giving them off? Okay. We're giving you a discount off that territory, number one. And also, rather than a year contract, we're going to give your listeners an introductory 6-month contract. So they're going to get a discount, and they're going to be liable to a 6-month contract. And at the end of those 6 months, it goes month to month. So the price doesn't change. We don't jack it up. We don't jack it up to $200 just because you got a discount, when you first signed up. The price stays the same. You get first right of refusal after 6 months. If you say, I still find great value for paying $130 or whatever it is, and I want to keep it. At that point, you're on month to month, and you keep it as long as you want it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
What we've found in territories that we've been more than 6 months, we usually have a waiting list of 3 to 4 agents per territory. So if anybody moves or doesn't use it or leaves the contract for whatever reason, 9 times out of 10, we sell that territory the same day or the next day to the waiting list. Yeah. Because again, understand, when you're an agent, and if I was to purchase this territory right here, I am the only one getting that data. So if I want to dominate an area and get a strategic advantage over all the other agents in one specific area, I can keep that information just for myself as long as I want to pay for it.
And you know what? When you were saying that, it's kind of like being in a fight and it's dark outside, all the lights are out, and you're the only one with night vision.
Right.
I mean, literally, you're the only one with night vision, and so you have insight into homes and properties and prospective listers that nobody else does if they're not using, access to this, to predictive data. And just even hearing this, from myself in real estate success, we always talk to real estate agents about being creative with their marketing. And so if you have information and insight and you're marketing to homes who are getting ready to sell from a predictive analysis standpoint, your referral partners and other small business owners who may also have offerings, may want to possibly set up, like you said, a networking event or a community event where you're inviting folks out. Let's say it's the local, moving company or the insurance guy. Those are things and aspects that are going to be needed when that person's getting ready to move. If you're moving from one house, you're moving to another house, you're going to have to get insurance. Your insurance guy possibly could build a relationship. So that's just an example. Now, this is really awesome stuff. Awesome.
Cool. And I hope you don't mind if I steal your anecdote there about you having the only one with night vision goggles. I'm stealing that for sure, Michael.
No, okay, cool. Well, I'll look for the royalty check.
All right, so Michael, I want to spend about a minute or two more. I just want to show you one more thing.
Absolutely.
Only because there are areas where, say I buy this area here, there may be a really nice neighborhood over here and maybe a lower price neighborhood over here. So I want to show you a different way that you can actually drill down and become a little bit more granular so maybe we identify 300 people to reach out to, but maybe you want to get even more granular. Maybe you want to pick out subsets of those top scoring 300 homes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can do that. So I'm going to pick an area. I'm picking single family home and condo. And all I'm doing is I'm just creating a list of the high scoring homes. I can further drill down by number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, whether they're a full-time resident or investor-owned. So maybe if I live in a seasonal place, like in Florida, if it's during the season, I can have the address of where they are locally. And maybe it's off-season, I can have their address maybe in Chicago or Canada or wherever they live, full-time in the rest of the year. Maybe I don't want any homes that are underwater. I don't want to do any short sales, so I can click off of that. And maybe for this area, I don't want, because there's probably a lot of little properties, and maybe it's not worth the time for my team and myself to focus on $50,000, $60,000 properties or 150. I can just start at 200 and just say, okay, give me a list of everything over 200,000. Okay, and what that'll do, whoops, it's actually, let me go back because I think this area is very inexpensive, so I'm going to do 100. There we go. All right, now I have 73. It was, see, before it was 357 properties.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked before, it was 12 properties. So if I want to only market to those homes that are, $300,000 and up, I could get a list of 12. If I have like $100,000 and up, I get a list of 73. So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make it a list. 100K and I'm going to save that list. Okay. So there's 73 properties here, right? So watch this. Say I'm working in this area, and maybe, and what this is, see all these blue properties, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
These are all the areas that, these are all the homes that have been identified to sell. But what happens if I have an open house right here, and maybe I just want a list of the homes that are within 2 or 3 blocks? I can click Draw Area. I can draw a circle around these homes.
Wow.
Like that. Oops. I think I have to be on Chrome in order to, but it's not working at the moment on this browser.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that I can show the individual agents if they want to. We go to info@offers.com. I can set it up. I can actually draw a circle around an area. Okay. I can save that. Worked right there. There we go. And I can go back to my target list. And now it gives me the addresses of those 4 properties that I circled.
Wow.
So we can geo-target specific areas based on you simply. So we've had a lot of agents that have actually shared a territory. So they'll draw a circle around one part of the territory, create a list, and one agent will work that, draw a circle around the other part of the territory, and the agent will work that.
Wow.
So it's super, super cool. We can get really, really granular. Here's the thing. The agent themselves does not have to know how to do this. Our representative will do all of this for them.
Okay.
But it's nice for them to know of the possibility of all the different things that the program can do. And here's an example of a page. Here you see we have all 1,907 records for this area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for this area, this is Ming Li Lu. You have a picture of her house. You've got a map. This is what.
Okay. I got to stop you right here. So the picture of the house came up, right? Are you able, can I download that picture?
Yeah,
Can I do a right click and save?
Yeah, you can right click and save it to your desktop.
And the reason I asked that is because the strategy that I tell my students, it's kind of it's an interesting one. But if you send someone a postcard with their house on the front of it, and the postcard says, "Do you know what your home is worth?" and obviously they flip it over, that right there, you're automatically going to look at a postcard that has a picture of your home on it, because you're going to say to yourself, who the what is sending me a postcard with the picture of my home on it. So I love that.
Yeah, actually we have, it's funny you mentioned it. It's exactly what several offices in the area here do. When they have a listing anywhere, they create a geo-target list, grab 30, 40 homes that are high scoring, and do exactly that. They come here, they take the picture, they put together, exactly that, send it out. So I'm going to invite them to the open house an hour early. Come down an hour early just for the neighbors, talk about the area. It's a great idea. That's exactly what we're seeing people do. I like that.
And here's a little bit more information here. So, and this is what I was telling you the agent in Venice did, about a month or 2 ago. He would just get a little mental snapshot of the person's property, market value, total loans. They're not married. It's investor owned. So he can come up with whatever script he's going to use for his, for his email or his phone call or his personal handwritten letter. So again, the whole thing is to give the agent as much information as possible for them to be able to reach out and make a connection with this person. And form a relationship with them. And if they're ready to sell now, be their listing agent. If they're ready to sell in a couple of months, be the agent, the single agent that is top of mind.
Absolutely.
That person knows who to go to.
Absolutely.
Let's show you one more cool, scary thing. We always give you a lot of cool tools and statistics. We'll give you a number of your home equity, loan to value ratio. So if you are interested, you're having a glass of wine at the end of the day, you just want to do a little bit of research on your area, you can. But sometimes, agents are doing an open house and they want to see the area where they're in. We even take you down to a street level, and you can walk the streets of the area that you're in. And if
wow.
See here, there's a blue property right there. There's another blue property right there. So if I'm having an open house right down the street, I can simply pop on here for 5 minutes. Here's another blue property here. You see all these blue properties? So what I can do, if I'm having an open house here, I can take 5 minutes and I can see which homes are high scoring within 2-3 blocks. I can go door knock an hour before I'm going to visit a client, or I can door knock before I have an open house and maybe invite them over.
Absolutely. Maximize your investment of time, energy, and money.
Yeah. So we've really put a lot into what we provide the agent. We give them a lot of tools. I would say 20-30% of the agents that we work with will dig in like this and spend a lot of time utilizing it. But quite honestly, 70% just say, hey, I love it. I'm going to download your list. I'm going to do direct mail, or you know what? I'm going to put a budget of $200 a month, and I'm going to hit all these guys with IP targeting, and it's just set it and forget it.
Yep.
So the choice is really up to the individual agent and how it fits in with their personality. Again, if they're doing internet marketing or they're doing direct mail, it's a passive approach, but it works if you saturate the whole market. And if you want to be proactive and you want to be a lead generator, then you have all we have all the personal outreach, the tools that the agent can use to help with that as well.
Wow, this is a no-brainer. I mean, and I say that with all honesty, sincerity. When I was introduced to it, it was a no-brainer. But now, once we've actually gone through it, and you've actually really kind of given me an insight into all the happenings in the background, it truly is a no-brainer, especially at the price points that we talked about. I mean, if a guy can sit on his couch and enjoy a beer, spend $100 a month, and get a couple of listings in a month, I think that anybody can do this. I mean, if you got a telephone or a computer, or if you got soles on your feet, you can use this information to really, number one, build a business, and then secondly, take it to a point to where you're dominating in your area.
Yeah, exactly. And, we throw a lot of examples out here. Every example that we use of agents having success, every one of them are true stories. And for your listeners, when they're going over this and hearing some of the creative things that people do, every agent who works with us has their own territory. They're not competing with any of our other clients because it's exclusive to their territory. So when we see these success stories across the country, people using this in a very creative way, this is what we also share with the people that work for us. Is, what's something creative I can do here? And we say, but we're seeing these community programs and these community outreaches. People branding themselves as a community ambassador more than, are you looking to list your homes? Different ways to market, different types of success that we share with everyone who is a client with us.
Absolutely. No, I'm a huge fan of offers, and I, beyond a reasonable doubt, see the value in using your service and platform to build your real estate business. Not only for 2016, but even beyond. I mean, when you can target like this and really start to connect with folks in a particular farm area, then the sky's the limit. The sky is really the limit in terms of what you can do. I mean, even if you didn't want to get into the community stuff and building, your brand from that aspect, you just wanted to be the transactional dominator in your area, you can do that as well with this. I mean, There's so many
Absolutely.
ways. There's so many ways you can use this.
And just so your listeners know, at any point in time, they can reach out to us, and we can give them a very similar presentation as we showed today. All they have to do to reach out to us is just send us an email at info@offersofrs.com and just say, hey, listen, heard you guys on the Mo Show, and please, give me a call back and let's schedule a demo. If you know what you want, you can go online now, register as an agent, and if you find an area you want to grab it first before anybody else in your office or your community does, be sure to put in the Mo Show, MOSHOW, the Mo Show code, and you're going to get a discount, and you're going to only have to do a 6-month contract rather than a year contract.
That is excellent. We appreciate you guys. Again, just go to OFFRS.com and make sure you use MoShow for the promo code. That'll save you some money, as well as get you an introductory contract. So, guys, I appreciate everything, not only the demonstration, but the offer and the sincerity of the offer to our audience. And we would definitely have to have you back on the show so that we can talk about some success stories with some of our listeners who have used your product. I think that's even stronger. So we definitely want to work on getting some folks on board, testing the product out, so we can have some success stories to talk about on our show, Tools for Success, because, the proof is always in the pudding. I can see the vision of this, and I know you guys have shared stories of success with this, but I want folks to get online and to talk about how they've used this, and to even show some pictures or, some closings that they went to with clients that they got in touch with through your platform. So with that being said, guys, is there anything else you want to let our audience know? Again, let them know the website and the email address, and also a phone number if there's one that they can call.
Yeah, so as we were saying earlier, just give us a shout anytime at info@offers.com. Tom and myself and our sales staff will get that, and somebody will reach out to you, usually within an hour or two. And we'll get back to you and answer any questions that you have, or schedule a demo. And make sure that you use the code MoShow when purchasing a territory for your discount and your 6-month contract. And Mo, thanks so much for having us on your show. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank
No
you, Mike.
problem.
I appreciate your
No
time.
problem. I appreciate you, Rob and Tom, and the Offers team. And with that being said, it's another edition of Tools for Success. I am ecstatic and glad we had this opportunity to bring Offers.com on. You guys can definitely use this service to establish yourself as the top-of-mind agent in your territory. So with that being said, thank you for another edition of Tools for Success. Have a great day.